It is true that society gets more open on the topic of sexuality as new generations come. This is supported by how many female expectations and behaviors are loosened and are now more common in areas that are once only acceptable for males. However, traditional gender roles for women remain the societal norms for many in our culture when it comes to domestic life, which is officially affected by Confucian ideology. The feature through a Vietnamese comedy Chuyện gia đình, which is presented by Group 6, including Dương Anh Tuấn, Phan Nguyễn Quỳnh Thư, Nguyễn Thị Khánh Ly, and Trịnh Thị Anh Linh. Table of contents includes 1. Theory 2. The position of the husband in the family 3. The position of the wife in the family 4. Discussion and solutions 5. Conclusion. Now let's go through a theory of gender roles before analyzing it in the short film. According to Amy, gender roles are based on the different expectations that individuals, groups, and societies have of individuals based on their sex and based on its society values and beliefs about gender. Gender roles are the product of the interactions between individuals and their environments, and they give individual cues about what sort of behavior is believed to be appropriate for what sex. Appropriate gender roles are defined according to a society beliefs about differences between a sex. In Vietnam, there are also some stereotypes forming people's beliefs about gender roles. It will be fully displayed through the Vietnamese comedy Chuyện gia đình.
In the video, Family Story, we notice that there are two main characters, namely the wife and the husband. First, I will point out details that shed light on the relationship in the family. The first thesis is the husband is the superior. Now, pay attention to the words, behavior, and tones of voice of the husband. To begin with, the husband annoyed with what his
Gia đình mình là gia đình thế nào nhỉ?
Dạ, em báo cáo mình, gia đình mình là gia đình có tôn ti trật tự. Trên bảo, dưới phải nghe, bố mẹ bảo, con cái phải nghe, ông bà bảo, cháu chắc phải nghe, chồng bảo, vợ phải nghe, chấm.
Ê, đã có ai đánh đập cô chưa?
Dạ, sắp ạ.
Thế thì câm mồm đi. Không phải là sắp mà là luôn bây giờ đấy.
Dạ vâng ạ. Em không dám khóc đâu. Nước mắt.
Nữa ấy,
Vâng.
nếu mà bình minh nó không trở lại yên tĩnh ấy, thì muối cứ nhìn quả cà chua này mà làm gương nhé. Nhá.
To begin with, the husband annoyed with what his wife does in an unreasonable way. Now pay attention to the words, behavior, and tone of voice of the husband. First one, action. The husband did exercise, closed his eye while his wife was talking. It means he represents the powers of a man. Tones of the voice. He usually grunts, straight on verbs like shut up, get out of here now. He always used common sentence. He seemed to have power, expresses others, and belittled the wife. Although he asked his wife to come out to talk, he repeatedly shouted loudly and forced his wife to be silent. When the pigs make noise, he said that if the dog doesn't return to came after a while, then just take this tomato as an example. And then he crushed it and threw the tomato on the ground. It means he will beat his wife if the pigs still make a loud noise. This is a very unreasonable thing that shows the husband abuse. Second, the husband directs his wife to do all household chores. First, He made his wife to feed the kitchen pigs and hang the clothes in the early morning. Second, he made his wife to cook meal for the West. He used common sentence and he stressed on the verb "get out of here now" and go to the kitchen to cook meal. It means he showed his power towards his wife. And then he made his wife to reserve when the West come to the house by using common sentence like bring the cattle, bring the fan, and go to the market and buy a chicken right away. About the tone of the voice, he raised voice at the end of each sentence and emphasizes the verb. And he used common sentence without subject. Fourth, he forced his wife to reserve him in the West. First, action. He forced his wife to pick lemon leaf in order for him to eat with the chicken. After realizing that chicken feathers had not been picked up totally, he asked his wife in an ironic way, "Have you eaten chicken feathers yet?" Second one, word. He used words that show his command, like go to the kitchen, hurry up, go. He used words that show that he disrespected his wife and he was not listening to her. These are words and common sentences that show the husband orders and commands. The second thesis is the husband shows himself as a man who respects men and despises women. First, he didn't want his wife to have understanding. Tones of voice. He usually grunts, stressed on verbs. He still used common sentence. Action. He sought and forced his wife to go to the kitchen to cook meal. He glared at his wife and recalled the legend of the tomato. It means he managed his wife. If she still requests to go to the meeting, she will be beat.
Trong cái nhà này chỉ cần một mình tôi có tri thức là được rồi. Cô đàn bà con gái tri thức mới làm cái gì? Về cãi lại tôi à?
Second one, he forced his wife to give birth to a son.
Mình đẻ cho anh thằng con trai nhé.
Tones of voice. He spoke softly and didn't raise his voice. Action. He demanded his wife to give birth to a son and to do exercise. Then he picked up vegetable for his wife to eat and forced her to drink straight water. The husband had a backward and antiquated point of view. Third, he only respects men. He appreciates the West, warmly welcoming, treating chickens, which is considered as an expensive food and only used in special days. When he found the West not being comfortable with a piece of meat without being totally picked up feathers, he immediately got angry with his wife. He raised his voice at the end of each sentence and emphasized the verbs.
Xin lỗi nhé. Muối ơi! Lên đây bảo này.
Dạ.
Muối này.
Dạ.
Muối đã ăn lông gà bao giờ chưa?
Dạ, lông gà thì làm sao mà ăn được ạ?
Thế à? Không ăn được hả?
Vâng.
Thế cái gì đây? Cái gì đây?
Sao đây là lông tơ của gà?
Thế lông tơ có ăn được không?
Thế nhưng mà...
Nhưng cái gì?
The husband addressed his wife. He called her name. Muối, cô, mình, vợ, and em. With muối, he called 16 times. Cô and mình are 3 times. Em is 2 times and vợ is 1 time. Despite being a husband, he addressed his wife unlike a normal husband and wife in Vietnam. In Vietnam, husband and wife often address anh em. The husband often addresses me and calls his wife name. This shows disrespect to his wife. The sentences are mainly without a subject. Most of them are imperative sentences to order the wife. He raises his voice at the end of each sentence, emphasize the verbs. His voice is very tense and grumpy. The husband always beats and curses his wife and kids, while he often gambled and drank alcohol. He didn't treat his wife well, but he considered her as a maid and a baby sister.
Next, we are going to analyze the image of the wife in the film to understand this above issue. Firstly, the woman must completely submit to the husband. When being asked, the wife has to read a list of household rules. One of those is that the wife has to submit to the husband. This indicates that the wife is controlled by the husband, and he is also the one who makes all family decisions.
Trên bảo, dưới phải nghe, bố mẹ bảo, thân thái phải nghe, ông bà bảo, cháu chắc phải nghe, chồng bảo, vợ phải nghe, chấm.
A series of the wife's actions, subservience, fear, submissions, may look at her husband's face and pay attention to his words to figure out what he wants. For example, feeding pigs, comments on hot weather 38 to 39 degrees Celsius means the husband needs a fan, but no mention of bringing it to him. Facial expression, the wife shows fear and weariness when facing her husband's provocative deeds of violence. Secondly, the wife must do all of the housekeeping. It means it has an unfair labor division among couples. The wife said, I slide the vegetables, I look after the pigs, and I make rice. In addition, the husband chased her into the kitchen to prepare food for guests.
Rau em thái rồi,
Tốt,
lợn em cho ăn rồi,
khá,
cơm em nấu rồi.
ngoan. Chuẩn bị cơm nước đi, tôi về tôi đón khách đấy.
As you can see, the wife does the majority of the housework. The husband functions as a superior, ordering, evaluating, and enjoying, shown in words that assess the degree with each report of the wife's accomplished action. For example, tốt, giỏi, khá. Besides, the woman is not permitted to be overly knowledgeable. This has already been discussed, so I won't say it again here. Nextly, the wife's imagery symbolizes virtue of Vietnamese women, most notably concern, diligence, a love for husband and children. She takes care of a lot of things in the family. In particular, the husband at headquarters to go to the market and buy chicken for his friend, but the woman was hesitant and cautious since she was concerned about the household expenses. She has to squeeze, save, and consider balancing the family's expenses. Include meals, children's school fees, energy, and water bills, with the limited money handed to her.
Nhưng mà mình ơi, nhà mình có mỗi một con gà mà tháng trước thịt nốt cho con đâu.
Không có thì không biết đường ra chợ mà mua à.
Nhưng mà em làm gì còn tiền.
Furthermore, she always thanked for her child, refusing the husband's suggestion and pleading seriously when he wanted to take out his daughter's school fee to buy poultry for the guest. It demonstrated a point. She desires that her daughter will receive a thorough education. She doesn't want her children to be as ununiform as she was.
Tiền học rồi chưa nộp.
Nợ thêm tháng nữa.
Ôi chúng mình ơi, em xin mình ơi, có một tí em chất bóp mái mới để nộp học cho con, bây giờ nợ thêm lần người ta quấy quá.
In another part, although the chicken was bought by the guest, the wife secretly let her daughter taste 1 or 2 times. She always thinks for her husband as well. She keeps her husband as spy in her mind so that he has the most comfortable place to work and live. Save her husband's face in front of the guest, accepting to go to the market to buy chicken even though they know the house has no money. They are not argue with her husband in front of the guest when being complained about the loss of lemon leaves. She is cautious, concerned, and eager to share and confide in her husband. When the wife saw her husband crying, she expressed her worry and anxiety about what's going wrong with her husband and met all of the husband's requirements.
Trời ơi,
Mình đừng làm em sợ mình ơi. Mình mà đồng ý thì việc gì em cũng làm cho mình. Em thề đấy.
Finally, accepting the fate of the ancient prejudice against women, do not dare to argue when being threatened or beaten. Do not dare to fight for her right to have access to family planning knowledge, and have no right to make a decision on giving birth, accepting her husband's unreasonable wishes to have a boy.
Kìa, cố lên. Chị tự... Úi giời ơi. Cố lên, khổ lắm. Sắp xong rồi, nào cố lên.
Ôi rồi mình ơi, em
mẹ có khỏe thì con mới khỏe được nào.
Em không có được mình ơi, nó còn mệt hơn cả đi đồng mình ạ.
Tập tành thế này mà lại ví với đi làm đồng. Cố lên, mẹ khỏe thì con nó mới.
Next is discussion of solutions.
To a certain extent, Vietnamese traditional culture, with its long-term sexual discrimination against women and conservative Confucian ideology, which values men and disparages women, are consistent with 3 culturally embedded lenses of gender, namely androcentrism, gender polarization, and biological essentialism. In other words, male-centeredness, male-female difference, and sexual equality caused by male-female intrinsic biological differences have existed in Vietnamese society for centuries and have adversely affected all spheres of women's work and life. Since Vietnamese rulers used Confucianism as the foundation of the educational system, it adversely affected Vietnamese people's perception. Confucianism nurtured the ideology of valuing men and disparaging women, tying women to their families and domestic responsibilities and excluding them from all types of social work and activities. Based on Confucian tenets, men have a higher status than women, and sons are valued more highly than daughters. There is a Vietnamese saying that goes, "Men build the house and women make it home." After marriage, women would usually become a housewife and a mother. They would be expected to depend upon her husband to care for the children as well as perform all the household duties. Women had no rights in their family or in society, and their economic lives depended entirely on their fathers, brothers, husbands, or sons. Vietnamese women are traditionally expected to put their families as the first priority over any other things such as education, passion, or hobbies. In addition, they personally thought that housework and childcare were women's tasks in Vietnam, and men in general and their husbands in particular could lose face and be laughed at as if their friends and colleagues knew that they as men had to do women's work at home, or although both they and their husbands did full-time jobs. Additionally and importantly, men's neglect of household chores is reinforced by Vietnamese social cultural norms that value men and disparage women. Women must be economically independent. If women are economically independent and can live on their own labor, they can make decisions and join negotiations in their family affairs. Of course, it will not be enough if women are unaware of their rights. In reality, not only in rural areas, even in urban areas, many women can make money better than their husbands, yet are unable to negotiate or to jointly make decisions with their husband. In most cases, women grow up learning that they should be obedient, to withstand sacrifices and hardships, and to make concessions. They need to understand their rights and protect their rights properly, and should not make concessions. In addition, women should support each other to help themselves change their thinking, to seek strength and progressive thinking. In a group of women, if an influential person has progressive thoughts, other group members will gradually be influenced and empowered. Thus, they will fight for their rights, their benefits, and their lives. Moreover, it's time to change and to influence men. Policies, actions, programs, and interventions should target men, forcing them to change their awareness, thoughts, and behaviors. Men should think that building a happy family is the responsibility of both men and women. The family is the foundation for their love and their children. Their responsibility is not only making money, but also teaching their children.
Finally, in conclusion,
Vietnam is still a highly patriarchal society, where the impact of conservative Confucian ideology remains pervasive and is a substantial obstacle to women's progress. Vietnamese traditional gender roles include many standards that society wants a man and a woman to follow. These roles are mostly about the responsibilities that each role has to do to keep the order of the family and the community, when women are expected to stay home and take care of the house, and men go out to earn money to support their family. In fact, this results in many shortcomings related to the implementation of gender roles in the family, such as unequal participation in housework, gender stereotypes, women's roles in regarding housework, taking care of the family, and raising children are considered the task of women. Therefore, in order to improve women's life, it is necessary to change people's perception on gender equality, including men and women.
So this is our presentation about gender roles in Vietnamese culture. Thank you for listening.